What's up YouTube? My name's Cricky, welcome back to the channel. I am sorry if I appear a little bit scruffy today, but I do have a very good reason for that. Today is Friday. So, on Thursday morning I was up at 7 o'clock, going to go and get the trailer, and I didn't see my pit again until, I want to say, 3:30 this morning, and today's Friday. That was a really long day, so I couldn't be bothered with shaving. But it was an awesome day. It was a really, really good day, and I'll show you what I got up to. Come and have a look at this. Right, so this is what I was doing. That's my new milling machine. How cool is that? It's massive. And it ain't going anywhere with them straps on. I did twang them a few times on the way back just to be on the safe side. But that's what I got up to. Now E is going to live over there, in that space. I was going to move the lathe over, but this thing is massive. If I stick it over there, I ain't going to get in the workshop because it will just completely block the door. So it's got to go in that corner. I was going to shove it where the lathe was, just in case I do a big job on it, like, oh, I don't know, a motorcycle frame jig, which is going to be one of the first things it does. Because that way, if I've got a really long piece of stock on the table, I could just open the door and shove the end out. But that ain't going to fly. So it's got to go there, but I obviously need to make a little bit of room, and somehow I need to get him off that trailer. I'll tell you about sticking it on a little bit later, because that was just epic. Right, let's make some space. So, if I was to wind the table, the x-axis, all the way left and then all the way right, and see what the complete throw is, that's how much room on these. I think to get into any of these shelves, I'm going to have to wind it all the way over there to the left. It will go in. It's also going to stick out, like, because you've got the base, and then the stand, and then all the controls and stuff. The base can pretty much go up to that wall, but it's going to stick out here, like that. The door finishes there. It's huge! I need a bigger shop. We're getting, they'll be alright, they'll be alright. Right. Didn't you have a bigger one? that was a damn sight easier getting it in here. Right, let's what have we got? I'll look these up. It is 1.5 tons. That's a 2-ton forklift. So that was easy. It's just you're just really conscious. You're slinging an awful lot of weight when you're doing this sort of stuff. Anyway, let's get all this off. Right, you'll have to excuse all the shakiness. This bit cracked me up. Clean down after use, don't just leave it. Somebody left it. The bed is actually, I mean, yeah, I know there's surface schmoo and rust and stuff on it, and all sorts of gubbins in here. But there aren't any big gouges apart from that one on this this set of slots, and one has got a nice big drain for its tray and everything else. The X-axis, it moves nice. It's all very firm and solid. I just need, yeah, obviously the whole thing needs to be stripped down and pulled apart and greased and checked and everything else. But it all moves. It's just, you know, nothing's adjusted yet. Pom 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 pom. Where is it? Where is it? Right, so manufactured by Bracknell, Munro and Rogers, 1928 limited. So I guess the 1928 is when their company was formed. I've no idea what sort of mill it is. I know it's an Archdale. It's got that all over it. So I love all these little plaques and stuff as well. Over here, 1941. I think this is from 1941. I've got a serial number here as well, which I'm going to look up. Well, I think that's a serial number. I don't really know. Got all the levers down this side, and obviously the plaque that shows spindle speeds and all that sort of stuff. Down here I've got a feed. It's got auto feed in it, so I've got a table feed. There's not a huge amount of adjustment on the amount of feed you get, but I'm sure that'll be absolutely fine. And so I've got a prop shaft down here, so that'll obviously be for the powered feed. This is a gearbox, so essentially right, left and neutral, as far as I can tell. You know, like all the base of it and everything else is just, it's mega. I mean, that'll all get flooded with coolant and stuff anyway. I've got a couple of pumps, oil sight glass at the top, because I think this whole head is full of oil. You've got like a drain tap down here, which I'm not sure that's going to be oil tight. So I don't know if there's any oil in it. I've not had anything apart or anything. This, I think, is the clutch. I think it's a clutch of some description. I don't know. I need to try and source a service manual for it and everything else. Apparently, this is a Morse Taper 3. It's got a big old slot in that though. I mean, that's not what mine looks like. I have got the drawbar for it, but I'm guessing, because obviously that's rotation, so I'm guessing there's a specific sort of chuckle, something that goes, I don't know. I mean, theory says if there's a taper in there, which is Morse Taper 3, then the holders and everything else that I've got will do the do. I don't know how far the knee comes up or anything. I mean, you can see the back ways here. I mean, it comes right up to here. That ain't a lot. Do you know what I mean? And it drops all the way down. This is awesome. I know it looks a bit crap and grubby and stuff at the minute, but imagine it all pulled apart and greased and cleaned and oiled and, you know, all that sort of stuff, and painted, and basically made to look like my lathe. You know, just neaten and tidy it up. I'm gonna have a brilliant little working machine here. It's like all the little nipples for oiling it and whatnot. It is cool. It is so cool. Use oil, not grease. Okay. It is mega. Look. Part of the reason why, actually, what does that do? Oh, that ain't going anywhere. Is it locked? So I don't know what half this stuff does. I'll need to find out. This is also really old. Oh, that'll be the auto feed. All the controls, you can still see the, you know, graduations and stuff. I mean, it's going to get a DRO. They are still there. They're just covered in grease and battered with age and all that sort of stuff. I've got tabletop locks on it, which is cool. What's that for? Is that a limit? Yeah, I suppose it must be a oh, this is sweet. It really is. Being 1941, I think, was it 41? Yeah. I'm not sure if these are all going to be Imperial or Whitworth. I ain't got any Whitworth stuff, and all the spanners I've got, they're Imperial, they're even about that long. So I need to get some extra tools and stuff. And I need to get it all pulled apart and everything else, obviously, but oh, here we go. Yeah, that's the automatic feed for the X-axis. So where's the one? Is it just X-axis? I don't know. I don't know. That I'm guessing. That's going to be the lock for Z. Something like that. That's been cobbled. I think that would be the lock for X. I'm not sure, I don't know. Oh no, that tightens your Gibbs. Yeah, so that's loose. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Does it a bit? Maybe that is the lock, I don't know. It's going to be fun finding out though, isn't it? Archdale and Co Limited. English made. That's why it's twice as thick and 3 times as heavy as it needs to be. Oh, I want to pull it apart. Right, I need a brew. I'm officially running on empty now. Officially. I'm shattered. I've got work tomorrow. Anyways, a couple of years ago when I first started looking into machining and stuff, I bought something. A little bit optimistic maybe, but this was just an absolute bargain. Basically the fella bought the wrong size. So I thought, oh, I'm having it then. So I'll grab it. 2 nuts in there, they're probably too small, but never mind. And what I've got is this. It's a big old machinist vice. And I always promise myself, if I get this, I'm going to get a machine worthy of sticking this on. So, proper machinist vice, it's all machined and everything else, it's lovely. Really, really is. It's just been sitting in a box in the corner, waiting for a decent machine to turn up. It all rotates and stuff as well. But it's a cracking bit of kit. And a vice is about the most useful thing you can get on a milling machine. Well, you know, apart from the bit. That'll do. That'll do a treat. Right. I don't know where to start really. Hang on, where's my brew? I need to sit down. I'm shattered. And I've got work tomorrow. So anyway, how did all this start? Well, basically, it's all down to Doddy. Brian Dodd. Doddy to his mate. We just call him Doddy. And this is him. Now, you're going to have to excuse his hair. He is a bit embarrassed about it. All the time we was there, he was wearing a woolly hat. But he's not been able to have a haircut because of lockdown. But that's the fella who gifted me this mill. And thank you just doesn't say it enough. It really doesn't. There is no way I could afford something like this. I mean, it's just a beast of a thing. I mean, literally, from this whole bit right down to the base, this there, that's one solid piece. I mean, it is rigid as hell. I had a look in the back of it because there's a hole in there. It's about 3/4 of an inch thick at its thinnest. That's without all this on the front of it. It's crazy. I could never have gotten something like this. So, you know, I've got the pair now because we've got the box with lathe and the mill. I can do all sorts of stuff now. That's in. That's done. That's I just can't say thank you enough. I really can't. I'm not a kid in a candy store. I love all this sort of stuff. I like that it's a bit old and it needs a bit of fixing up. And, you know, I've got to pull it apart and have a look at it and clean it and degrease it and paint it and blah, blah, blah. Blah just means I'll get to know how it all works. So, you know, I'll be able to service it and look after it properly and all that sort of stuff. So, I'd rather that than just, you know, an instant plug it in and away you go. So that's wicked. Then there was Dave Copley. He tipped it because I put out a shout going, "Anybody got any scaffold tubes?" Because I thought I'd shift it. So he sorted me out some scaffold tubes. There's another fella, Dave, who he lives in Gloucester, around that area anyway. He tipped in on Facebook going, "Well, if you need a hand, I'll give you your pass in your door, just pick me up." So I did. And he was champion, he was brilliant. Dave, thank you ever so much for all your help. Again, there is no way I could have done it without all three of you, basically. No way. I didn't have the kit to get it down his driveway. It took bloody hours. We had winched the trailer, unhooked the trailer, winched the trailer up his driveway because it had a bit of a slope to it, on its own winch, chock it all in place, and then we moved this Egyptian style by putting sort of scaffold tubes underneath it, moving it a bit, taking one out the back, stick it in the front, repeat as you're going down sort of thing. We got halfway down and all the Doddy was up front with me trying to steady the thing and give it a tug. And all I heard is, ow, 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 ow. I looked down, he's there in his slippers, and one of the scaffold tubes has gone over his slipper. His slipper's got a bloody great hole in it now, and it's about that thick. And all his toes inside are doing this, trying to stay out of the way. If you've got 1.5 tons of milling machine on your toe, give a bigger noise. We'll stop a bit quicker there. You didn't do any harm. Yeah, I mean, his slipper's never going to be the same, but his feet was all right. Dave Moore, he was brilliant. He was really good. Basically, I picked him up on the way. We spent all the journey to Doddy's just yapping, putting the world to rights and all that sort of stuff. All the way back we was yapping as well. It was just non-stop. And it was really good just to, you know, meet the man and stuff and just shoot the breeze. And, you know, I had a look at his bike when we was at his gaff. He's got his own project on the go. He's building up his own workshop and stuff as well. He's got 3-phase plumbed in, he's got a layer floor and all this sort of stuff. But he's going to have a cracking space there when he's done. And that's all on the farm and that. And he's got all this sort of stuff as well. So, you know, he's quite adept at moving it and knows some of the tricks to doing it easy and all that sort of stuff. But he was mega, there was no mucking about, he was in and helping. Dave, thank you so much. Partly for the company, but mostly for your helping hand, because I couldn't have done it. Well, you saw what we had to do. I couldn't have done it. Not without another set of hands, anyway. So that was cool. But when we got to Doddy's, we spent, first thing, cup of tea and a biscuit. And then we just spent ages just chatting with the fella. He's 85 years old. He's got an MT-09 because he wanted something a little bit lighter, so we got an MT-09, which is still not a slow bike. But he found it a bit sloppy in the corners and stuff, so he's uprated all the suspension with K-Tech kit. He's still at it. He can find his way up and down the Cat and Fiddle dead quick by all accounts. And we got there, and he was like straight in there, and he had one of these, like the plastic envelopes, like the Polly Pocket things, like a plastic folder. He'd been grubbing about, and he found loads of pictures and stuff, because he's done the Isle of Man TT 7 times. And he had all these pictures of him on was it a Vela set? I think he had a 350 and a 500. Now he's done loads of racing, he's done short track and all that sort of stuff as well, and he's got all these pictures and stuff. You can tell he cherishes them. They're all sort of like old and a bit worn because they've been pulled out and looked at and all that, so a bit faded and all that sort of stuff. He's got a shelf in the corner of his living room. Because they used to have like pudding basin lids with goggles, and the lid has got like a big leather thing with a strap on it and all that. Well, that's sitting up on the shelf in the corner. He's got a big picture of him racing on his wall, with loads of family photos and all that sort of stuff. It was great. We just spent ages just chatting with the fella. It was great. I loved it. And the stuff he came out with was just awesome. Really, really nice. And like, he was recounting some of his laps and everything at places like Brands Hatch and Alton Park and Cadwell and stuff. And he's talking about bump on this corner and that sent me sideways and blah, blah, blah. And I knew exactly what he was talking about, because as he was going through it, it's all my racing stuff sort of floods back. But you know exactly where he is on track and the bump that he's talking about, because they've never gotten rid of most of them. Even though they've resurfaced it, it's still yumps and everything. And it was cool. I had a blinding day. It was a really, really long day. Really long. But it was just so cool to meet these folks and to get the mill and finally get it in here, so I can start working on it. And it was just great. I'm going to have to meet with more people, I think. Now that lockdown's out and Jixit is now on its way to being put back together, and I've got the front end for Asbo, I'll just use that as a robot. We'll go out and do some meets and meet a few people, because I just had a blast. I had a great day. Really, it was long, but it was a great day. That was one to remember. Right, so what's the plan for it then? Well, it's not a showroom model. It's old. It is old. History on this as far as I get. Dolly was an engineer by trade, did loads of design work for this business, and this machine was set up next to the gaffer's office. So when he was in there doing his work and stuff, this machine was being used. And basically, they gifted it to him. They gave it to him, so it doesn't owe him anything, which is how come he's gifted it to me, basically. And it was used right up to the point that he got it. Now, he got it turn of the century, so like 2000. Since then, it's just been sitting in his garage, just covered in all sorts. His garage is chocker as well, and his other shed, and the other shed behind that. Craig James would have a field day in there, the stuff he's got. Like squirreled away in the corner underneath all sorts of stuff. There's a Colchester student lathe, and then he's got another lathe that he's using, like a more modern job here, and he's got a more modern milling machine, sort of halfway between this one and the mini mill. But he's still tinkering and all that sort of stuff. And he's got his Vela sets. I think his son's got a Himalayan Royal Enfield, which was in there. He's got an MT-09, and there's more tools than you can shake a stick at. The place is chocker. So this has basically just been sat there doing nothing, and he always had the intention of getting it going, but never sort of got round to it really. So that's where it is, and I don't know if there's any oil in it, I don't know anything, but it's just shabby. All the levers and everything else for the gearbox, and you know, the hand controls and the bed and the knee and everything moves. Nothing is seized. It's just shabby looking. And you know, we've got some surface rust and all that sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do is, first thing is I'm just going to clean everything up. It's all going to get degreased. I've got loads of old petrol, I'll just use that to start off with. I've got degreaser. You know, WD's going to be squirted everywhere I can squirt it. I just want to try and free everything up so I can start taking stuff apart. I need to see if these are Whitworth or Imperial, or I don't know what they are. But you know, 1941, if that is the year, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. So obviously I need to find all that stuff out. And then this is going to be a project that kind of sits in the background. Step by step, it's going to get done, it's going to get tore down, cleaned up, blah, blah, blah. We'll repaint it, set everything else up as it should be. There's Jamie and Matt, who are like industrial, yeah, engineers basically, mechanical, electrical, whatever. So I'll be reliant on them to sort out motors. I ain't got a clue what that is. I think it's a clutch, but I really don't know. And I need to get a manual sorted for it as well, because oh no, right, because the manual I got for the little box worth was just invaluable. It's got everything in it, the part numbers, the drawings, the text sheets, the, you know, all the functionality, the owner's manuals, everything. And I could do with that for this as well. I like the fact it's a fixer-upper, and that I've got to pull it apart to check everything and clean everything and put it all back together, because I'll understand how it works. Principle is actually quite simple. You know, it's just big and heavy. That's the thing. So, you know, I like that I've got to put some effort into it, but I'm going to end up with an awesome bit of kit. It will be so good. And I think, you know, once it's operational and that, it's going to be a very capable machine. Very capable. Right, so you're going to see more of it, I guess. It's going to be like a backseat project to start off with anyway. Essentially, I want to get it up and working by the time I'm ready to start on the frame jig for ASBO, because that's got to be cock on. It really has. If there's bits and pieces that I do need to mill for Jixit when we start putting that back together again and it's not working, then I'll stand a good chance of getting stuff done in work. But I do want to get it working for when I come to do ASBO, because there's loads of stuff that I want to be making for that, and that mill will do it. 100% that mill will do it. So there is quite a lot of work involved. But it's going to be so worth it when it gets done. It really, I'm so chuffed with it, I can't tell you. Really, really, really chuffed. I've just got enough room. I was going to put the mill over by the door, but I wouldn't get in the shop if I did that, because it sticks out too far. So it's going to have to live where it is now. The good thing is that the bed sticks out further forwards than the lathe does, so if I need to put a long job on it, you know, like the main rails for the frame jig and that sort of stuff, just to get all my holes exactly where I need them, then, you know, it's still going to clear all the lathe, that's all fine. It's just I can't go, you know, towards the back wall as far as I would like. I was going to put it on an angle, but then I start hitting the back wall and the curtains and all the rest of it, so it's got to go where it is. I do need to square it up, but it's not exactly like perpendicular. It needs to be a right angle. It's going to do my head in. I need to get that done. I'll find a crowbar and I'll walk it along the floor somehow. I don't know. But anyway, so that's it. So, Doddy, you're an absolute gem. Thank you very, very, very much for this. It is going to feature on the channel lots. It is going to be used to make an awful lot of kit for the bikes, as well as other stuff that I've got planned. you know, the bed on it is more than ample for what I need. It's going to be excellent. So thank you ever so much for donating it. It's like all your Christmases at once when you want something like this to get something like that. And I promise I will look after it and I will put it to good use. Absolutely hand on heart. Dave Moore, legend for all your help. Thank you very much. Like I said, I couldn't have done it without you. And it was really nice just catching up and having a yap and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I do hope we get to meet again. He was talking about because he's like smack in the middle of the country basically. And he's talking about maybe at some point setting up a meet and, you know, all this sort of stuff. I hope he does it. Because loads of people are just itching to get out and do like a proper meet-up and that. And, you know, Craig's not too far away and all this kind of stuff. I don't know, maybe something could be put together where we can all meet up again. That would be really good. But we'll have to stay tuned and, you know, see if anything comes of that one. Dave Copley for the scaffold tubes. You have no idea how useful they were, mate. You really don't. And Steve Lessons, if you want to stick your telly aerial up now, I've got a pole for you. So give us a shout. But that's where I'm leaving it. I know it's not a bike one, but this is like a big milestone day for the shop. It really, really is. And at some point it is going to look just as good and work just as good as Chuck Norris, the little Boxwood lathe, does. And it's going to get used heavy. It's going to be working for a living, that machine. But thank you ever so much for watching. Really do hope you're all staying safe and that. And we'll see you again on the next one. Oh yeah, Steve-O, next time there's heavy lifting, I don't care what you're doing, you're cancelling it. You are. It's not up for debate. Layers!